The Obama administration has framed its defense of the controversial bulk collection of all American phone records as necessary to prevent a future 9/11. During a House Intelligence Committee hearing on June 18th, NSA Director General Keith Alexander said, "Let me start by saying that I would much rather be here today debating this point than trying to explain how we failed to prevent another 9/11. This closely mirrors NSA talking points about how to defend the program. Recently in New York, Judge William H. Pauley ruled that the NSA's bulk collection of American telephone records is lawful. He cited Alexander's testimony and quoted him saying, "We couldn't connect the dots because we didn't have the dots." But is it really the case that the U.S. intelligence community didn't have the dots in the lead up to 9/11? Hardly. In fact, the intelligence community provided repeated strategic warning in the summer of 2001 that Al-Qaeda was planning a large-scale attack on American interests. Here is a representative sampling of the CIA threat reporting that was distributed to the Bush administration. Bin Laden planning multiple operations. Bin Laden attacks may be imminent. Planning for Bin Laden attacks continues despite delays. Threat of impending Al-Qaeda attack to continue indefinitely. The CIA had its own spectacular failure in the run-up to 9/11, which wasn't a failure to collect intelligence, but a failure of information sharing. The government missed multiple opportunities to catch Al-Qaeda hijacker Khalid al-Mihdhar when he was living in San Diego for a year and a half in the run-up to 9/11. Not because it lacked access to all American phone records, but because it didn't share the information it already possessed about the soon-to-be hijacker within other branches of government. The missed opportunities in the al-Mihdhar case are well documented. The CIA failed to watch list al-Mihdhar and other suspected al-Qaeda terrorist Nawaf al-Hazmi, whom the agency had been tracking since they attended an al-Qaeda summit in Malaysia on January 5, 2000. 10 days after the meeting, al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar entered the United States. The failure to put Mihdhar and Hazmi on a watch list meant that immigration and law enforcement authorities were not alerted to their presence when they entered the United States under their real names. The CIA also did not alert the FBI about the identities of the suspected terrorists so that the Bureau could look for them once they were inside the United States. An investigation by the CIA Inspector General found that this was not the oversight of a couple of agency employees, but rather that a large number of CIA officers and analysts had dropped the ball. Some 50 to 60 agency employees read cables about the two al-Qaeda suspects without taking any action. Al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar were two of the hijackers on American Airlines Flight 77 that plunged into the Pentagon, killing 189 people. These multiple missed opportunities challenged the administration's claims that the NSA's bulk phone data surveillance program could have prevented the 9/11 attacks. Obama administration officials who defend the NSA bulk collection of phone records cite the failure to detect al-Mihdhar's presence in San Diego before 9/11 as a reason to justify the program. Then FBI Director Robert Mueller argued before the House Judiciary Committee on June 13th that the bulk collection of telephone records might have prevented 9/11. As mentioned previously, however, the government missed multiple opportunities to catch al-Mihdhar, and the failure was one of information sharing inside the U.S. intelligence community. Since we can't run history backward, all we can say with certainty is that it is an indisputable fact that the proper sharing of intelligence by the CIA may well have derailed the 9/11 plot. And it is merely an untestable hypothesis that if the NSA bulk phone collection program had been in place at the time, that it might have helped to find the soon-to-be hijackers in San Diego. Indeed, the overall problem for U.S. counterterrorism officials is not that they don't gather enough information from the bulk surveillance of American phone data, but that they don't sufficiently understand or widely share the information they already possess, that is derived from conventional law enforcement and intelligence techniques. What was true of the two 9/11 hijackers living in San Diego was also the unfortunate pattern we have seen in several other significant terrorism cases. Chicago resident David Headley was central to the planning of the 2008 terrorist attacks in Mumbai that killed 166 people. Yet following the 9/11 attacks, U.S. authorities received plausible tips regarding Headley's associations with militant groups at least 5 times from his family members, friends, and acquaintances. These multiple tips were never followed up in an effective fashion. Major Nidal Hassan, a military psychiatrist, killed 13 people at Fort Hood, Texas in 2009. Yet intelligence agencies had intercepted multiple emails between Hassan and a U.S.-born cleric who was notorious for his ties to militants. Counterterrorism investigators didn't follow up on these emails. Carlos Bledsoe, a convert to Islam, fatally shot a soldier at a Little Rock, Arkansas military recruiting office in 2009. Shortly before the attack, Bledsoe had traveled to Yemen. As a result, Bledsoe was under investigation by the FBI. Yet he was still able to buy the weapons he needed for his deadly attack when he was back in the United States. Nigerian Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalab attempted to blow up Northwest Flight 253 over Detroit on Christmas Day 2009 with an underwear bomb. Luckily, the bomb failed to explode. Yet, a few weeks before the botched attack, Abdul Muttalab's father contacted the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria with concerns that his son had become radicalized. This information wasn't further investigated. The White House's review of the underwear bomb plot concluded that there was sufficient information known to the U.S. government to determine that Abdul Muttalab was likely working for Al-Qaeda. Yet, Abdul Muttalab was allowed to board a plane bound for the United States without any question. All of these serious terrorism cases argue not for the gathering of ever vaster troves of information, but simply for a better understanding of the information the government has already collected, and that are derived from conventional law enforcement and intelligence methods.